Peace, 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 peace. Welcome to this movie Innerstandings. I'm Achi Low. You know what I'm talking about? It's just me. And today we're talking about Ender's Game, right? And Ender's Game is actually based off a book by the same name, which is by Orson Scott Card. You know what I'm talking about? And Peace Chief. You know what I'm talking about? What What was interesting about this movie was the simple fact that it dealt with child soldiering, Shalom Chief, you know what I'm talking about, and it also dealt with psyops and war games, you know what I'm talking about, and war games or war gaming is interesting because of the simple fact. Well, at least I'm getting interested in war gaming because it basically it's like problem solving or critical thinking on the battlefield, but not just on the battlefield, but on a grander scale. Where basically create simulations, or battle simulations to outthink the other opponent or just solve the problem of achieving victory. Things like that. You'll like right now, if you think that like war games or battle simulations are not being run right now because of the altercation in Ukraine, you got another thing coming. Just think about that. you know uh the Eastern Bloc, they were running simulations just to say, okay, how quick can we move? Get in, get out, and do what we need to do. And then let's run a simulation on if anybody wants to jump in. That's how sort of war gaming is. You theorize on known possibilities of what could happen in a battle or in a war, and then you try to also factor in the unknowns and things like that. You know what I'm talking about? But peace, peace, and my precious. My name is Precious. All right, peace, peace is the deal. You know what I'm talking about? DJ Shmoney, So, uh, other than that, what I'm talking about. So that's what in this game basically deals with, and you'll see it, but you'll never put it into context. You know what I'm saying? That's what the movie is. It's basically about war games. Is that like, and you could probably also think about the actual movie, like 1980s movie. I don't know, because sort of before my time, that was actually called War Games. That dealt with, basically, the United States fighting a battle simulation or a computer battle simulation between the USSR at that time, and it was a program that was running that actually, was interesting. But yeah, peace in my queer, you know. Um, so peace, Sister Maria. Um, so like Call of Duty. No, not like Call of Duty, but in a sense, Call of Duty would be low level. That's not even wargaming. That's not wargaming at all. That's just video games. Wargaming, if you want to go video games, it's mostly strategy games. Like your you wouldn't play these like I know somebody would play these games, but like Total War, where you're actually like a country like France or Britain. Another one will probably be Crusader Kings. Um, yeah, I play those type of games. If where you actually have to have like a standing army, and then you got to run the economy and things like that, and then and then and then whatnot, where you got to use your cavalry and your artillery and whatnot, and you actually have to, kite and things, and you know, um, have to upgrade your infantry and things like that, and you actually have, army regiments on the field of battle so you can see things like that. Another game will probably be because they're the whole Total War series is one. Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer. Um Command and Conquer. Mm, that's all I can think of right now. But yeah, not the Battlefield or the Rainbow Six, you know, because you actually have to, because wargaming is basically for big armies, not on a company level. That's what you also have to understand. It's not on a company level. It's like it's but you would it's battalion and above, battalion and above, and then you basically try to and you have a staff when it comes to war gaming. What I'm saying, you actually have a staff that actually helps you out with the intelligence and the factoring in of these probabilities and stuff. What I'm saying. So yeah, let's let's get into it. Talk about. So one thing that starts at the start of the film, you got this quote that says by A.E. Wiggin, which is basically Ander, Andrew Ender Wiggin, which is, Ender, they never say, but he says, when I understand my enemy well enough to defeat him, then at that moment, I also love him, which you'll see him say in the movie. You know what I'm saying? But you get a sort of background what's going on. The humans are fighting an alien force, an insect-like force called the Formics, who are decimating, the humans, and then they ended up winning the war, by a single lone man, Mazarakin, but they they come out that war, and they realize that that it takes, they look for children to put into their basically like their war games program, or their battle school as they call it, what I'm saying, because they're more intelligent with strategy than I would say adults, or able to adapt better than adults, when it comes to those type of things. you know just remember, when you're dealing with with child soldiering, yeah, children do fight wars. Historically, they have fought wars. They're still fighting wars in some countries. Yeah, children fight wars. What I'm saying? I don't think that they don't. Women can fight wars and children can fight wars. But Ender, um he's getting ready to basically be chosen to go to battle school, or he's trying to get chosen to go to battle school, and he always refers to himself as the third, which basically he's the third born of his family. Now, from what you can tell, at least by him talking about himself being the third, you can say that during this time that humanity has a cap on how many children you can have. You can only have two. You know what I'm saying? But Ender's the third, and um, apparently his parents had to get permission to have him. You know what I'm saying? Um, but he's that third born. You know what I'm saying? And you know, um, he beats up a kid, right? and then they send him home. He's very smart, and they monitor him, and they basically play like a psychological operation. Basically use psychology on him, to see how he deals with rejection as they observe him. Yes, he is understanding already. You know what I'm saying? And which you see by him being that understanding, and that understands a lot. You see things for what they are in that sense. Just because he does, it seems like he's very lonely. He doesn't have a lot of friends. In that sense, odd man out, or odd boy out. You know what I'm saying? And but they say, the colonel and the major, they say, let's see how he deals with rejection. Basically playing a psychological game on him. You know, and so he beats up this kid, and they take out his moder, well, mod chip from the nape of his neck. You know, and which is very interesting as well. That's how they was observing him. With that chip. And so he's sent home, and he feels disappointed. And not only that, he goes back home to his older brother and older sister, Peter, who Peter also was in the program, and his sister Clementine was also in the program, but they both got sent back home. You know what I'm saying? The psyops. The book/film was awesome. The children were all militaristic, but their critical thinking was stressed beyond. Bro. Yeah, yeah. For sure, Chief. That was one thing. That the critical thinking was stressed beyond Braun. You know what I'm saying? Because because first of all, they were too lanky. They were too lanky. But at the same time, if you basically are basically not on the front lines as an actual combatant, but as basically a operator, basically an operator, or a drone operator, or a strategic operator. Yeah, he's like, yeah, that's why they're so skinny, because you're not going to the front lines. You don't need endurance and all that so-called stuff, I guess. But yeah, they didn't have a lot of brawn, but they had excellent critical thinking. You know what I'm talking about? He embraces the loneliness as if he knows he's in the class by himself. His every move is strategy, and even in simple conversation. Yeah, yeah. He's already, um, in that he's always sizing up, who's around him, in order to best utilize what's the next step to deal with them in that sense, Sister Maria. Um, so when he feels like he's been rejected, he gets sort of bullied by his brother, which his brother is the reason why he was kicked out of the program. Clementine was too kind, what I'm saying, and Peter, he was too violent, what I'm saying, or quick to violent, or too easily angered. You could say he was easily emotional at that, what I'm saying. If he was that quick to anger, that means he was overly emotional. What I'm saying. So you could tell that I guess there was some. Well, you could tell that there's a genetics problem involved in that bloodline, in a sense. You have one that's too compassionate, and then you have one that's overly violent. What I'm saying? And then you have Ender. What I'm saying? Which sort of balances out, but then he worries if he's too violent, or if he will end up violent, like Peter. In many, in more than one account. So you know, as he goes home and whatnot. Uh, Colonel Grav, comes to get Ender and whatnot, and uh, he offers Ender a place in the battle school program, because they need somebody like Julius Caesar, a general like Julius Caesar or Napoleon. But then he was like, well, Napoleon lost in the end, and he's like, Julius Caesar got got assassinated by the people he trusted. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah. But uh he goes to battle school, and uh it's sort of like a boot camp in a sense, but not. It's like a military prison, if you ask me. It's like, man, y'all wear yellow and stuff. It's like, oh, y'all being singled out as the new fish. This is like prison. Space military prison. But it is what it is. You know what I'm talking about? But Pete Peace Aki Minulek. So as he goes to battle school, and he goes to class, he follows the video, the combat video of the last war with the Formats, and he's actually seen the combat video feed, I would say, of Mazarakan, and how he defeated the Formats. And he questions, okay, they say he died, but something's just not right. You know what I'm saying? You It was Valentine. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was Clementine. I mean, Clementine, Valentine. Why I want to say Clementine? I forget. Valentine though. You know. Um so after that, you see Ender, he writes to, his sister, but during his time at Basel, he asks legitimate questions, which you ain't supposed to do. You're supposed to be a so you're supposed to be military discipline and shut your mouth. And here Ender is like, well, why can't we do this? I'm just asking a legitimate question, sir. And it's like, man, you want to keep on asking questions, but drop it, give me 20, Yeah, the sergeant didn't smoke him like he was supposed to. But I can smoke him. Like, oh, you want to keep on talking? Okay, no problem, no problem. Ender. I'm gonna fix you right now, skinny boy. You gonna get strong. That's what we you know. He almost caught it back in. Yeah, yeah. I used to hear them stories from my drill sergeants how, oh, y'all got it good. I used to get hit, in boot camp. Drill sergeant used to hit me. I'm like, drill sergeant used to hit you. Yeah, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. But that's what they would talk about to us. You know what I'm saying? But you see that, but they bring Ender there because they know they want him in a leadership position. So as he learns, and gets sent to a team called the Salamander Army. You know what I'm saying? When he's not training or anything like that, he plays a game that's actually called Mind Game. And the game is, he meets this giant, and the giant gives him 2 cups and says, you gotta choose one, and if one of them's poison, what I'm saying, the other one take your Fairyland. But as Ender keeps on playing and playing and playing, and he plays as a mouse, right? He realizes that both choices are wrong. So what does he do? He gouges the mouse into the eye of the giant and kills him. He couldn't. Ender's responses are so nonchalant, it makes you aggravated. But then you think you are overacting. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I was like, not if you, it was like, not if you got that right. Oh, so you want to be Mr. Robot. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we got you. You know what I'm saying? We got you. Because sometimes while I'm watching this movie and I'm seeing these people like mess with Ender, I'm already ready to heat them. Like if you don't get, like you know, like when Ender gets to the salamanders, and they're commanding squad leader or whatever is Bonzo. And you look at Bonzo and Ender's taller than him, like she was talking about these they missed the brawn part, they missed the strengthening, what I'm saying. I'm looking at Bonzo, I was like, if you don't get your Harry Potter Dobby looking face out, away from me. Looking like you want to say, save me, Harry Potter, save me. You know what I'm saying? Don't get your, you know. But when he plays the mind game, he tells a lie, which was one of the guys that launched with him. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna look down? Exactly. You're like, bro, you smaller than me. Now me, if you're short, but you know what? I have had to spar off with guys in the army that was smaller than me. You know what I'm saying? or shorter than me. And they went back down. And I could back down like, what's up? Let's go. Like Starship Troopers. They called the enemy bugs, insects. Yeah. In the book, they're actually called buggers, But yeah, it's like Starship Troopers in the sense where you can say they have a socialistic military system. You know what I'm saying? Where everything is geared towards the military, in a sense. Like even with Ender's Room, you know what I'm saying? You got basically military propaganda posters. If you pay attention to the room, the background. And it's like, this is what, we've been, my parents spent all this money for, or whatever. This is what I've been, trained to do in a sense, But yeah, it's that's another movie like Starship Troopers, you know what I'm saying? you know, um, so, uh, no, after that, he tells him, you follow the rule. This, he knows it's a mind game, and it's set up by the upper military, the military officers, which is major, the major, and he says, you follow the rules, you lose. Choose violence, you win. You know what I'm saying? He tells him that, and it's like they went nervous at school too, yeah. But if you think about that, if you follow the rules of, um, in sometimes in battle, you might lose because you may find an enemy that won't fight with that goes with the rules. I've even asked that question, in class, in military class, you know what I'm talking about? What do you do when that happens? You know what I'm saying? But if you choose violence, if you fight, you win. You know what I'm saying? You know, you have to think outside the box in that sense, you know what I'm talking about? But you see Ender, as a sub for the Salamander Army, and they actually play, in a sense, a war game, where they have to shoot each other and go. It's basically like capture the flag, but there's no flag. You just got to go to the other end um, of the enemy base. You got to actually go into their hole, which is like a goalpost in a sense. But it's like capture the flag in a sense. But it's in on that level. What I'm saying? Where you're shooting and you get points for shooting shooting the opposing team and whatnot, and what you shoot, or where you shoot, it counts as a point, which was cool, interesting type of game, especially when you're dealing with strategy. What I'm saying? In space, what I'm talking about. And Ender, he sees that his team might lose, and then he gets in the game, and with his own strategy, he helps his team win. What I'm saying? And then he plays mind game again, and then it takes him someplace else where he sees the Formix. And then he sees his sister Valentine, and then it takes him to like a Formix hive. What I'm saying? He goes to the center of it, but then it stops right there. So, Ender, always is at odds with Bonzo, who commands, Salaman Army. So, the Colonel Grab, say, well, we'll give you command of Dragon Army, which didn't exist. But then all of a sudden it was like, we'll give you, we'll bring all the misfits into your army, and then you'll have to command them. Already making him a leader in that sense. So, he commands the Dragon Army, what I'm saying? And then they start to win, and then they become undefeated under his leadership. What I'm saying? And then the last and final army military game that they play is a three army game. What I'm saying? Which is the same game, but it's just three armies. And then they gang up all on Dragon Army, Salamander and Jaguar. Yeah, Jaguar. I was going to say leopard for a minute. But in the end, the Dragon Army still wins. What I'm talking about? Through strategy and wargaming. By seeing what's there, seeing the situation for what it is, and then coming up and formulating a strategy for them to win. That's basically what Ender just did. He saw everything for what it was. He saw how they basically, how can I say this? Mess with the spatial environment, with those little diamond blocks or whatever. The balls on half Sesame Street guys, so half dwarf troll. I'm telling you, he Dobby off Harry Potter because that's what he looked like. But yeah, he half gods on half dwarf troll. That's what I said. He Dobby because they were dwarf trolls, dwarf elf. But you can use them trolls too, Willow and them. Yeah, that was him. What I'm talking about. But they win, then they become undefeated, and then they are, number one in the rankings. Yeah, Dobby. He is Dobby, like for real. That's when I looked at him. I was like, "Yo, get your." See, sometimes they just come, and I'm like, he looked like Dobby off of Harry Potter, like for real, or one of them dang on goblins, that work in that bank, But yeah, so he Bonzo's envy of him. So he fights Bonzo, but then he ends up paralyzing Bonzo. Now, in the book, he actually kills Bonzo. You know what I'm saying? They don't kill him in the movie, but he dies in the book, Just like the last guy, before he gets to battle school, Ender kills Stilson in the book. They give us last name. So yeah. Um, but it's too much for him. You know what I'm saying? He's like, man, I just hurt a guy, and then one thing that Grav tells him, what I'm saying, the fleet owns you, Ender. You know what I'm saying? We own you, bro. You know what I'm talking about? And Ender's like, well, then I quit. You know what I'm saying? You know, and he wants to see Valentine. You know what I'm talking about? At the end of the movie, I was like, so we just gonna forget about Bozo? Yeah, we gonna forget about Bozo. Forget that dang old troll. you know, yeah. What about him? He got sent back home, washed out. You take a trip on a washout leg. That's Starship Troopers. You know what I'm saying? But as he talks to so Grav goes and get Valentine, and as she talks to Ender, trying to get him back into the program, he tells him, I destroy my enemies so that they'll never hurt me again. And you see that in real life historically, some opposing forces are decimated so much that they'll never rise up against that force ever again. I can give plenty of examples. Carthage, for one. Carthage was destroyed. And that was the propaganda slogan for Rome. Carthage must be destroyed, and that's what happened, man. So but yeah, that's how some people feel, or some forces feel, politically and militarily in war, that you literally have to destroy. Even Shaka Zulu said it, never leave a enemy behind. Talk about or rise again to fly at your throat. So Ender goes back, he goes to command school, you know what I'm saying? And then, like they tell him the purpose. Like, the purpose of this war is to prevent all future wars. It's like you hear that in real life. The purpose for like World War I was the end. Basically it was the war to end all wars. Then World War II happened. What I'm talking about? World War I was the Great War. But then World War II happened, and it's yeah, you can say it's probably even worse. Technology, technologically and things like that. It's like, it's probably even worse, Um, just wars keep on coming, what I'm talking about? But then he meets actual, Mazarakan, what I'm talking about? And, he watches the actual combat video feed from Rackham, unedited. You know what I'm saying? Because he had questions about it. Then he understands that Rackham ejected from his airplane, or from his jet. You know what I'm saying? Before it crashed and killed, basically blew up the ship, or the mothership, you could say. You know what I'm saying? The flagship or whatever, which housed a queen, because you are dealing with formats and they're insects. And so they looked at the formats like ants, or their social structure like ants. Like, there were worker ants, and then there was the queen, you know what I'm saying? They didn't get to the generals because there are general in ants, but it don't matter. you know. So, it is basically said that, or basically implied that because he was able to take out the queen, all the worker formats cease functioning, you know what I'm saying? And the war was won that way. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they're trying to do again. That's basically what it is. And so Ender, along with, his friends that was, at battle school with him, they start to run battle simulations, to prepare for this great war, right? Until the next war. Right, Shmoney. You know what I'm talking about? And he, is steadily going over, um battle after battle. Sometimes, he loses maybe a carrier because of some fact that you're dealing with drones in a sense, and like his main staff, which were friends that were with him in battle school, they like operate or command the carriers. You know what I'm saying? And then you have those in the back that like the drone operators. The squatter fighter drone operators. You know what I'm talking about? Um, but my but you know but as he continuously run battle simulations, you know up until graduation, he starts to think, what if we can communicate with the Formex? You know what I'm saying? And he asked this to Petra. You know what I'm saying? What if we could do that? But then the final graduation battle happens. And you know they actually push. The final battle simulation is, the Formex homeworld. And so he has to, put in a last dish effort, to get there, and to win, what I'm saying? Which they have a weapon called Little Doctor, which is like a double pulse rifled web cannon. We're just gonna say cannon, you know what I'm saying? And it's shot on the planet, you know what I'm talking about? And then it's over. He's like, yeah, game over. But I feel like they never put Ben King's name in the trailers. He just shows up. It's like he just pops up. I'm sick. Can I be in the movie? Can I be in this movie? Man, it's like, Ben Kingsley just like a symbol like Prince at this point. I know, right? Because he plays everybody. Ben Kingsley plays everybody in a movie. So he plays everybody. Some authors play themselves. This guy plays everybody, man. But for sure. But Ender wins the final battle simulation by destroying the Formex homeworld. He's like, if we destroy the Formex homeworld, we kill all the queens. And so the last death effort or the Hail Mary is to just give Petra the shot to basically, wipe out the homeworld, which happens. But then he finds out that game was real the whole time. You know what I'm saying? That game was real the whole time. Every battle simulation was actually not a simulation. There's the, that's the psyop. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And it's sort of like, then he has guilt, and remorse. You know what I'm saying? It's like, when Einstein, created, E equals MC squared, and what's the name, created the atom bomb, or helped worked on the Manhattan project, and then saw what it did, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And then he wished he never did it. He felt guilty afterward, and then he started speaking against it. You know what I'm saying? But he created it. You know what I'm saying? Thinking it would be a greater good. You get that way in there. It's like, man, we could have done something else. They could have communicated with us and something like that. So we didn't have to go through all this point. What were they really after? And then he listens to the grown-ups. It's like, it's us and them. You know what I'm saying? It's us and them. But Ender doesn't see it that way. Then he realizes, that he says to them, it's not about just winning. The way we win matters. The way we win matters. That's what he tells Colonel Graff. You know what I'm talking about? It's interesting. Well, I'll just put it up. It's interesting how Ender's strategy always seems to be too harsh for reality for those who watch him, but he just shrugs it off. Now here it is. He realizes it wasn't a game, and it hits him. Yeah, the actual carriers that's manned by his friends actually got people on them. you know what I'm saying, actually got human beings on them, and they're dead. You know what I'm saying? So not only, but he just feels guilt for the formats. Like I created genocide. You made me create genocide. I wiped out an entire species. But you also got all these humans killed. Oh, but we ain't gonna mention that. You know what I'm saying? We feel bad for the formats, but it is what it is. You should be having guilt all the way around. But when he's basically sedated, because they sedated him because he's a kid, you know what I'm saying, and it bothers the 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 child mind, of that, when you deal with something like that. And so, as he's dreaming, you know what I'm saying, he realizes that he finds an answer. And so he goes outside because they're on actually an old Formex homeworld or outpost. You know what I'm saying? So he goes out and he's like, I've seen this place in my dream, because it was in the mind game. And then he realized that the Formex was trying to communicate with me all this time. And it was doing it through the mind game, you know. And then you see how intelligent the Formex is that they were able to communicate to him through a game, you know what I'm saying, telepathically. I saw Valentine as compassion, love, and Peter as violence in the beginning of the story. I leaned more towards Peter, but near the end, um, then he has more compassion. Actually, in the book, you can say that Peter and Valentine become political leaders, and well, they do become political leaders. And actually, Peter ends up becoming like the actual leader of Earth. But they have a way, because they're all smart kids. All three of them are smart, but they move the people in different ways. Like Peter, finds out what people are afraid of, and then use that against them. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Clementine, because she's compassionate and loving, she's able to schmooze with them. You know what I'm talking about, to give them, get them what they want, so she can get what she wants, in a sense. Ender, he's just straight robot, in a sense. He'll decimate you. You know what I'm saying? He'll do it all to win. In a sense. You know what I'm talking about. Petra's name seems like a combination of, like, the willingness to fight, but also show compassion. Yeah. Makes me think of who aliens really are. Yeah, Shmoney. So Shmoney, I feel you. You know what I'm talking about? The whole earth, they'll be the he came up. Yeah, and that's in the book. I didn't read the book. I just read notes. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he becomes the leader. You know what I'm saying? He came up. I don't know if he becomes a tyrant or not, but but yeah. So Ender goes into, like, the hive, the Formex hive, and then he finds an old queen, and then he finds the last queen of the Formex. You know what I'm saying? At first, you think the queen's going to kill him, but then she sees or understands his guilt, and then gives him the unborn queen. You know what I'm talking about? And he promised her to find a new world for the farmers. And so they give him, a ship, and promote him to admiral. And so he goes, through space, looking for a world for the Formix, or the last Formix queen. In the book, you know, they see Ender as dangerous, you know what I'm saying? And they kick him off. They kick him off. And not Clementine, Valentine goes with him, on the journey. But they also found colonies, apparently, as they go through space. And then they go find a world for the Formats in the book, in the sense, you know what I'm talking about? But yeah, you know, that that's like I said, that's the end, the kid and caboodle. But like I say, it centers around wargaming, and for me, it's like you gotta pay attention to the war games, man. Because sometimes that's where they leave you out. Out of the war gaming to where you think like that, to where you formulate communities that strategize like that on a bigger scale. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not military that strategize with war gaming. It's also big companies. You know what I'm saying? In their own business like world, because business is war. Talk about you don't see a battlefield everywhere, even in the bedroom. Chief has even told us about that. Yes, battlefield in the bedroom. You got learn the subways, Kevin. Stay in the trenches. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, like DJ's Money said, like, share, and subscribe. But yeah, wargaming is very interesting, very interesting. And you know what else where you see wargaming at that you never pay attention to, at least But also you see wargaming in a sense, and tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, that's sort of what it is. It's except it's on an individual person scale. It's not you're moving, battalions or companies and this, that. You're just moving one person. You know what I'm saying, in a sense. But yeah, tabletop RPGs, things like that. You can also say tabletop role playing games like Warhammer 40K, Age of Sigmar, BattleTech. Is that another one? Some people still like, strategize and battle it out with, Napoleonic, forces. You know what I'm saying? They paint models, structures, and then create a battle scene, and then do it like that. So sometimes when you look at sort of battle maps of wars, pay attention to how they moved and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because even like for the blitzkrieg strategies of the Third Reich. You know what I'm talking about? That was all war gaming in itself too, because they had to think, okay, how are we going? How are we going to get to here to there? You know what I'm saying? And what's the breaking point? What's the chink in the armor? France. And how we gonna get it? We gonna go through. We gonna go through right here. You know what I'm saying? That way they ain't gonna be able to really give a counterattack. You really had to know where to go. You know what I'm talking about? And what to know. You know what I'm saying? I always wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons. Have you ever played? No, I've seen people play it. I have watched people play Dungeons and Dragons on like YouTube or something, but I've never done it. You know what I'm saying? I've never met people that actually play Dungeons and Dragons. But in a sense, I have played it in a sense, or I knew people in that community that could tell me about it, but I've never actually played it, like created a character or something and actual played it. But it's not only Dungeons and Dragons, but I mean there's more than a game based on that model, like Pathfinder. You know what I'm saying? Now some of these games actually got video games that you can play, that's based off of all of that. You know what I'm saying? Pathfinder is one. Divinity 2, that's one. Pathfinder got more than one game, so yeah. Mm, can you count that? You can count Final Fantasy. I mean, it does have the old Final Fantasy series, where you got 4 people and, you basically move them in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Final Fantasy Tactics, you could say it's like Dungeons and Dragons as well. Tactics, Ogre, even Fire Emblem. Even Fire Emblem. Like I say, it's not your movie, but yeah, Fire Emblem. Yep, Fire Emblem's like wargaming. Um, just on a, you know, so no idea how that game works, but I do like some RPGs. And real time strategy was wondering if it was similar. Yeah, like I said, I Master Mignolet. Like when I told you about Rome Total War, that's also very similar. Rome Total War, Crusader Kings, like the whole Total War series, because I mean they go through historic, um more than just ancient Rome and Carthage and things like that. They do Napoleonic wars and all of that, but even with Japan and Shogun too. I love Shogun too, but um there's that. RPGs, like I said, Fire Emblem, um shoot, Persona 5, but the Persona series in general, because you still have to come up with strategies and stuff, what I'm saying, and then you're working with certain classes. You're not working with actual units or battle units or companies or regiments, but you're actually working with that type of, you know, um, archer, tank, DPS, mage, which is still wargaming. You know what I'm saying? People just don't see it that way. They just see it as a game. You know what I'm saying? They just see it as a game, But yeah, and because you like RPGs like that, like I said, you can play a lot on JRPGs. They stick to that model. You know what I'm talking about? Um, and you'll still get that wargaming feel. But like I say, for me, it was always the Total War series, man, because you actually are, is the commander of the army, and you got to put you go here, you go here. Okay, this whole line goes here. Okay, I want you to sweep. I want the cavalry sweep around here. You actually got to lead them and hurry up and charge. You know what I'm saying? Charge the charge the artillery. Hurry up, and then I want you to swing and pincer. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can do the shaka horn formation. Now that I got an actual army, I'm gonna put the cavalry on both sides and see how that works. you know See what that looks like, in a sense, But yeah, man, that's all. But that's all having a military mindset in a sense, or a strategic mindset, strategic and tactical, and putting it all together. Strategic tactics, like logistics and whatnot. Having all of them and putting them all together. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, um, yeah, Chrono Trigger was a good example of a good JRPG. You had to know who's good at what and who to leave on the bench. Yes, that goes into it. You gotta know who to leave on the bench. You gotta know who's good. Who's got your back? You know what I'm talking about. So you don't wipe. You know what I'm talking about. And things like that. Shoot, I mean, you yeah, you got to do that in dang on mo no MMO RPGs. You know what I'm talking about, like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14 and things like that, where you actually have to work together with other people. You know what I'm saying? You do that with dang on Call of Duty too, but it's just shoot them up, bang bang. Ain't like you really creating a strategy. You know what I'm saying? Where you actually have to know a role, what I'm saying, to defeat, a boss or something like that, or another team, what I'm saying. You actually have to, things like that, what I'm saying. If you're playing like capture the flag or something, But yeah. So what would be the greatest takeaway from the film for you? I would say for me, the greatest takeaway is to always have a military mindset. You know what I'm saying? And always be able to um, analyze and see things for what they are, or see people for what they are, so you can properly plan and plan the next step for what you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? But for me, the biggest takeaway was really because I never paid attention to it. For me, it was wargaming. You know what I'm saying? Understanding war games and battle tactics and strategy and what it really is, because that's what I'm looking into. I'm constantly looking into, because there's dang on there there's university got wargaming, societies and whatnot that you don't know. You wouldn't even know that they were there. But actual schools have these. My school, but actual university and colleges actually have war game and strategy um departments, and they hold lectures and stuff on things like that, and current crises, strategically and things like that. That's something to pay attention to, that's something that the common layman don't even know about, but they should. Things are decided, in that moment, you know what I'm saying, or you see certain outcomes. It should be able to sharpen your critical thinking and critical mind, you know what I'm saying, for you to think more strategically and more ahead, just like playing chess. You know what I'm saying? Just like playing chess, you know what I'm saying, or playing Go, or games like that, you know what I'm saying? Yes, they're thinking way ahead, and they're not sharing. They're not sharing that with you. They're thinking way ahead, and they're not sharing that with you, or they just know you so well that you ain't gonna have that type of interest, so they can just put it in plain sight because you're not gonna pay attention to it. you know. But things like that are starting to interest me, because I was in it, and I was like, strategy always interested me, but actual war gaming and things like that, never paid attention to. You know what I'm saying? You may think you're not smart enough, but I mean, it's something to pay attention to, because you could probably use it as a skill in your everyday life, you know, or in your everyday community. You never know. You may have to conquer something someday. You may have to take, you may have to actually have to wage a battle. So it's good to have a war game strategy or a war game mind, and actually have maps and come up with uh, um, those are great tips to apply now. For sure, money out. That was the point. But join us next time. You know what I'm talking about. Next strong, we're going to, I guess, keep it going with a small little HBO movie called Conspiracy. It deals with um, uh, again strategy in a sense, and it's all sitting around a board table. You know what I'm saying? But it's called Conspiracy, and it deals with World War II and the final solution. You know what I'm talking about? Like the battle of the toilet paper sucker 2019. Got to be ready. Yeah, but I mean, even if it was the battle for toilet paper, if you really had, like, if somebody took over a grocery store and you needed food, you really would have to come up with a battle simulation, because if you got to go get it, you got to invade. Hey, we gotta take it over, man, to get what we need. If they ain't gonna barter with us, then we gonna have to drop them. You know what I'm saying? You never know. You never know. Or somebody probably try to invade your homestead. So, like you said, you got to have natural things sometimes in place, to do that. You know what I'm saying? And think outside the box. Like when she was talking about, have smoke bombs and stick bombs, for concealment and things. I was like, I never thought about that. I was like, that's a good thing. That's a man. That's like a, that's like a homemade, gas gas repellent right then and there. Never thought about it, but hey, that's a good idea. I'm gonna use that. Boom. Gotta think outside the box. Gotta have your departments just like those role playing games. Yeah, gotta have intel to invade, but also need some berserkers. Yes, you're gonna need your berserkers. You're gonna need your berserkers. Gonna need your kamikaze. You're gonna need your divine wind. To destabilize. The enemy. What I'm talking about, or whatever. But yeah, we're gonna get into conspiracy, and we're not gonna talk about that the final solution. It really ain't about that. It's about what's happening at that table. That's more interesting than anything. It's really that's the point. It's not the final solution, but what's actually going down. You know what I'm talking about? But give thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your night, and I will see y'all next strong. Don't forget that we got Shemai New, and we still on that economics. You know what I'm talking about? So come on and show out, and shoot, keep on going with the fast. You know what I'm talking about. And I'll see y'all next strong. So give thanks and peace.